Carly and Taylor here. We are so passionate about talking about entrepreneurship, and whether that be building wealth, working with your cycle, quantum health and entrepreneurship, the grind, and really showing people what it takes. We wanted to kind of lift a veil of our journeys, and so you can see what it really takes to make a life of time freedom and location freedom possible. And we want to show you that this is so accessible to you. Like, we are not special. We both come from different really hard circumstances, and which commonly, ironically, you'll find like the most successful entrepreneurs have gone through the hardest things in life, because to build a life of freedom, it takes a lot of work and dedication and self-motivation. So we're kind of, again, peel back the layers here, remove the veil, and show you the behind the scenes of our journeys and what it took us to become entrepreneurs, and hopefully inspires you to consider maybe working in a way that's more aligned, or work in a way that's more aligned with your menstrual cycle, with your life, with your dreams and aspirations. Because the way we see the world's going now, how people are getting so sick, they're so depleted, they're so brainwashed and conditioned, and it really does start through a lot of systems like the schooling system and like the workforce system, and there just is another way. If you're feeling in your bones, like there's another way for you, that like working the job you're in or being around the people you're around, or it's just not fulfilling, you have to know that there's totally another option.
And that you can cultivate that from the comfort of your own home. We live
in these chairs.
Seriously, we live in such a wild time that information, tools, networking, like everything is so easily accessible for free from the supercomputer in your hand. And so in this day and age, like to not take advantage of that is just, it's a shame, because it's there and it's so utilizable and easily. And so we want to kind of take you through how we learned ourselves, because we are self-taught and self-guided, and we were able to create the lives that we actually love to show up to every single day. And I definitely was not, I feel like I'm like a lot of you viewing probably, like I was not raised with money at all. I was raised by a single mother who was in and out of the mental hospital my whole life. She was mentally ill, on all kinds of medications. We were on government assistance, food stamps. I was lucky if I got a new pair of jeans at the beginning of the school year. And what that does is that conditions you with a lot of like limiting beliefs. My mom had a deeply embedded scarcity mindset, which definitely imprinted onto me. When the day I turned 16, my mom screamed at me in the living room to get a job. And I was the only child. She was my only parent. And so it can really create this very deep attachment to I'm not enough, there is not enough, and there's nothing I can really do to achieve that. And then like, especially now, like we compare ourselves so much to influencers that we see, and we really strive to be the example. We both choose to be candid so that you know that this is achievable for you as well. Yeah. We are not special. We did not do anything, magical that you don't have access to, other than seriously just faith, vision, and hard work. Like that's genuinely what it takes. If you're willing to put in the hours, that's what it takes. And so I always had this feeling inside of me from the time that I was a little girl, like I'm meant for something more. Like there's something more out there for me, and like this cannot just be it. And so being raised with such little money, you don't really know like college was not an option for me, which is still so insane to me. Like I'm so glad that I didn't go to college. I'm so glad that I am not in tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt for a degree that I probably would not be using anyways.
Totally.
Like there's really no degree that either of us, there's no one degree that either of us could have that encompasses what we do as entrepreneurs.
Totally. They don't even teach what we do in school.
No.
Like that's the thing.
Not even for digital marketing, like nothing.
Because name one degree you can get where there's like no cap of how much you can make. I mean, maybe business and marketing, but they don't even teach the techniques that we know about creating generational wealth and building wealth in the beginning. You know, time freedom, location freedom, not working the dollar per hour model. That, like, what we speak about is totally unheard of, which we'll get into. But sorry, keep going. I love it.
No, I love you. And we're always building, we're always cultivating, we're always growing and expanding forever, literally for the rest of your life. But that's the beauty, is that self-development piece. And like Carly said earlier, you know, an entrepreneur really has to have that self-development, always trying to be better than who you were yesterday type of mentality. And like the thing about overcoming adversity, and like, because Carly said as well, which is so true, is a lot of the most successful entrepreneurs come from the craziest shit, come from the craziest backgrounds, and had to overcome the craziest obstacles and challenges. And I think that that's a huge reason that we become so adept at solving problems when it comes to business. The reality is when you are an entrepreneur, like, you are the one that navigates all the challenges. You're the one that has to learn all the things and do all the things until you have the ability to outsource some of the things. Developing grit is the most important aspect of facing challenges in my childhood, if I'm being honest with you, because I feel as though there's no obstacle or challenge that I can be faced with in a business that I cannot overcome, because it will never be more difficult than life circumstances and what that threw at me. And I think there's such a huge perception because of social media a lot of the times that these influencers have a life that's not achievable for you. Like, if you see someone wealthy that is traveling, that can eat whatever fancy food they want, or work whenever they want, make as much as they want, whatever it is, we have this perception, because it's a highlight reel more often than not, is that they were born with money, or that they have some special privilege, or whatever it is. But really, again, like, what it takes is just the ability to problem solve and hard work. But you learn how to solve problems when you come from adversity. One of the best components of your character that you can apply to being an entrepreneur, like, just simply one of the best that is taught by the Hard Knock School of Life. Yeah.
I love that. And we were talking about this yesterday. You know, I'll get messages on Instagram from some of you like, how do I become an entrepreneur? How do I make it work? How do I become more motivated? Well, that's the thing. Like, in this space, it takes so much authenticity and dedication and self-motivation. And that's why it's so important to do something you're absolutely in love with, where you feel that drive and you don't have to have all these people trying to lift you up and excite you about it, because it generates from your own being. And if you're not working a job in that way, entrepreneurship might not suit you, you know? And that's why we're so passionate about helping people connect to their authentic mission. We're all here for different service. You know, some people are passionate about saving dogs from the streets. Some people are passionate from holistic health. Some people are passionate about X, Y, and Z, environmentalism,
Pickleball.
whatever. Pickleball,
Literally.
exactly. But you have to unravel and find what that is for you, because when you are connected to that, this journey is like unbelievable. It is so rewarding every day. It's like looking in the mirror, and it shows you the inner parts of yourself that are the weakest, or the edges that you need to meet. And like Taylor said, when you've gone through adversity, these problems that maybe would have once been so big, they're not so big, because you know you've already hit rock bottom. Like, you can handle this all, right? And a bit about my journey, I was 16 when I started truth seeking and started looking into holistic health, and worked at a juice bar and saw all these people healing miraculously through eating organic. And I was like, okay. Started like dabbling in entrepreneurship when I was 19, because I wanted to go on a trip to Nicaragua for a month and I had no money. I was paying for college and yada, yada. I mean, and I have my thoughts about college now. It was definitely not worth what it was for me and someone with my type of mindset, with time freedom, location freedom, that is like outside of the narrative in the box. It is great for some people, but for us, like, it just is not a match. But I wanted to go to Nicaragua, so I just started a company and fundraised and sold a bunch of like holistic products. And I went to Nicaragua for a month, and I realized, wow, like, I can actually do this. And I only made like a couple $1,000s doing that, but it just like got my wheels turning, and I just learned bit by bit how to market, how to email market, social media, how to make product, inventory, profit margins. I watched Shark Tank every day, literally every day for 2 years, and I just like train my subconscious to really understand business and the energetics of business. And it became fun for me. Like it became a game. And in college, I actually helped build this really big business. And I was young and naive, and I didn't really understand contracts. And I was in a relationship with the guy that was creating it. So it got kind of sticky. I ended up losing over $180,000, and which was so hard, a huge lesson. And I basically worked for free for 4 years because I was in a relationship with him. And I realized though at the end, when I had broken up with him and I didn't receive any payment, I thought, okay, I put all this energy and built someone else's dream essentially. But now I know, like as hard as it was to lose all that money, which I grieved it for a while, but I ultimately realized, whoa, I like was such a monumental person in that business. And if I can do that with this, I can do this myself. So I just kept that grit with me and that motivation. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to use this motivation and make double and triple. And I ended up doing that because I learned incredible lessons about ethics and integrity. And I basically learned what not to do in business and how to be an authentic entrepreneur that's real and, like I said, morally consistent. So sometimes you have to be burned literally completely and go back to zero, no money. Like I had nothing. And that's the exact medicine that you need. And that can happen in entrepreneurship. It's just a part of it. But now I'll never be in a position like that again. I can help other people when they're in circumstances with their rock bottom, or maybe they're in a job that they don't want and they want to try entrepreneurship. We can be like, hey, don't do this, don't do that, do this. And of course, that's kind of why we're here, to drop into the energetics, because ultimately it takes so much confidence to be in this space. And I think that's not really spoken about much in like the influencer space or entrepreneurship, because so much of it is knowing your worth and having confidence. Because I have so many close friends and sisters that are now thriving entrepreneurs, but when I started working with them, they were charging way too little for their events and their mission and their practice and one-on-ones. And like, it's because they didn't have any self-worth. And that's why I say this type of journey, this entrepreneurship journey, like it's literally so much more than a job. It's going into every aspect of yourself. Like, am I worth it to charge this much? Am I worthy of hosting a retreat? Am I like, the what's it called? The imposter syndrome. You have to overcome imposter syndrome and know that, no, you are qualified, you are worth it, you have medicine to bring, and really embody that. So to bring it just a little bit back. So after I got burned by that business, I got this other dream job. It was like my dream job. I was like a contractor, and I was going to be giving tours around Hawaii, showing people like sanctuaries of turtles and hiking all these hills and mountains. And I got fired from that job the day before it started because they asked me to do something with my body that I said, I'm absolutely not doing that. I'm not okay with that. Not with my ethics. And they said, okay, well, you're not working for us. So like, that really showed me, wow, I really can't outsource this. I have to be an entrepreneur for myself. I have to be working in a way where I'm not going to get fired for what I say. I'm not going to get fired for choosing not to put something in my body. Like, I am the sole dictate, well, maybe I shouldn't use that word, but I'm the sole authority and initiator of what feels good. And honestly, again, another roadblock, because I went back to literally having like $300 in my bank account. And I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And this was back years ago, but I had to have that final lesson after I lost like over $180,000, after I lost that job. God was like, no, you need to be in this position. So, the way we're doing it it's really unique because we really get to make the decisions on a day-to-day basis of, you know, how we want to work. Are we taking off during our menstrual cycle, like X, Y, and Z? And maybe you could drop into that right now of how, like, do you work with your cycle? Obviously, you're so passionate about fertility and you were a doula, and then you decided the doula space was converting into some weird ideologies and you didn't want to be a part of it. Again, it wasn't with her ethics. So she's like, okay, I'm going to be bold and leave this. So you got really into cycle syncing and teaching people online about fertility. So how do you like weave that in to entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I mean, so after leaving the birth working industry, I actually went back to bartending for a while, and kind of same with me. I chose to work at an outdoor bar even during winter just so that I didn't have to wear a mask. And while I was doing that, I was creating content and putting my services and my medicine out there and utilizing as much time as I possibly could on the side to be able to cultivate my dreams. And during that time, don't get me wrong, I was tracking my cycle and I was in tune with when I was ovulating, when I was menstruating, and my cycle was very regular. But I realized, and I was telling you this the other day, like I never really fully tuned in to the ebbs and flows of my energy, my inspiration, my creativity, my inner reflection, and how those phases ebb and flow throughout your menstrual cycle until I worked fully from home. Until I left bartending and was completely autonomous and running my own business on my own terms, making my own schedule and doing it from the comfort of my own home. It's so wild how now I am so much more in tune and respectful. I am so much more respectful to my body and my psyche and my and my female physiology, simply because I have the ability to tune in, because I did bust my ass. And now I get to be completely in alignment with the ebbs and flows of my cycle phases. And I'm very mindful of when I am in my luteal phase. You know, I'm not doing as much hard exercise. I'm not weight training as much. I'm doing a lot more rehab. I'm being a lot more chill with the hours that I'm working. I'm allowing more rest. I'm allowing more intimate time and like chilling with my partner, more cozying up, and limiting the amount of time that I'm on screens, on phones, because it can be really detrimental to your creativity and the female flow. Because we really are in a flow with our cycles. And once you really tap into that and honor the flow of your cycle, which we have the ability to do by having the time and location freedom, we get to live deeply aligned with what our body needs. I get to tune in and be like, okay, I'm feeling much lower energy. I'm feeling like I need to spend some time on some inner reflection. So during my luteal phase, and especially during menstruation, I'm very low key. I'm not going out. I'm not networking. I'm not doing calls with people as much as I would in, say, my follicular ovulatory phase. I'm feeling like all cylinders firing when I'm ovulating, when I'm in my like mid follicular leading up to my ovulation. I feel amazing. Even like, you know, maybe a week into my luteal phase. Like I feel good, but I love having the ability, like there is nothing more nourishing to myself, my self-care, my creativity, and my workflow than honoring my cycle and where I'm at in that.
Yeah.
And my boyfriend also works from home, so that is another really helpful component. Like if I need help, he helps me because he also created the life that he wants and gets to work from home. And like, so like with quantum health, what do you do, whether it's like with your menstrual cycle or all of your biohacks? How do you integrate those into running your business?
Yeah, that's a great question because I mean, there's whether you work at home or you work, let's say you have a 9 to 5, like, of course, when you work at home, you can have the most control and really like not have right now we're getting natural light and we're drinking spring water and organic coffee and we're grounding and taking light breaks. So we're outside and getting the UV in our eyes and the sun signaling to us what time of day it is. So when it comes to bedtime, we can fall asleep easier. You know, there's a lot of things that you can do to biohack your environment when you work at home. And again, you can do this if you work a 9 to 5 or in a building.
Or bartending as well. Even when I was working nightlife, I was implementing all of my biohacks.
Got your blue light blockers
Literally,
on.
I was turning the Wi-Fi off when I was done with it at night so that I could sleep without being disrupted by frequencies all night.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, unplugging devices like your Xbox, like your TV at night so that, again, harmful frequencies aren't affecting you. You're going outside first thing in the morning. Like, you can still do all of these things. I don't want to limit anyone and make someone think that, like, you can't support your female physiology if you still have to grind at another job while you build up your side hustle.
Right. Yeah. Because you'll have to, I mean, we are both in positions where there's a period where you have to do both.
You do.
And that's, we'll drop into the grinds like right after this because we're so passionate about that. There's parts of us that are this soft, feminine, like, ooh, we love to be nurtured and provided for in certain times of our cycles. And then in other times of our cycle, we're like, let's go, like, let's get it. And I think it's so fun to have both aspects of
100%.
it. I love it.
Yeah,
like,
same.
It's so joyful to be in that creative space and create. It's so good for us mentally. And anyway, so before we get into the grind though, with the quantum health aspect, I mean, it's unbelievably important. I mean, you think of everyone now that's working indoors under blue lighting, mold infested buildings, maybe the drywall is just painted, there's chemicals coming
Sitting
off
all
of it.
day.
Sitting, screen, we're meant to be walking after every time that we eat to manage blood sugar and get the UV and ground, get electrons, taking light breaks outside. We're not meant to be indoors this much. And that's why everyone is so upset and so depressed. It's like, of course, you're inside fake lighting that's relatively new. Like, it hasn't been around for that long, these blue lights. And you're overly stimulated by all of this media all the time. Like, of course, it's just not natural to our physiology. So quantum health is just a huge aspect of my life because it's so easy to implement and it just is the most logical thing to implement. Again, getting your feet on the ground, going outside. And for me, that's why I love entrepreneurship and building wealth in this journey, because wealth to me looks like choosing a place to live where I can ground and not be around 5G towers and can turn off the Wi-Fi and be around people that are like-minded and not having to settle for anything less. And it was not always like that because we had to grind and put in a lot of time and effort and work to get to this space. A lot of sacrifice, like so much sacrifice that some people just aren't willing to do. And that's okay. That's okay. But for those that are feeling empty and know there's something more, just know that, I would rather work 80 hours a week for myself than 40 hours for someone that's not in alignment. Like, that's not even a question to me. And that's what I've done sometimes, just like really go for it. But, in that though, it's so important to weave in quantum health and holistic health, or else you're going to make yourself sick and you're going to end up paying for it later. And we've both been burned out where we learn our lessons
I've
and we're like,
burnt out so many times and had to recalibrate and be like, I'm not scheduling rest. Having one day a week also has been such a big biohack for me, of where it's no phones, it's no plans other than just downtime with my person to be able to just relax. Nothing's on your mind. There's no one you have to communicate with or get back to. Like, that's your day to reset, connect with God, connect with nature, connect with your partner, and do those things that oftentimes especially when you're like very caught up and enmeshed in the grind, it is very easy to make too many sacrifices where you do burn yourself out. And so that's why we are so passionate about being like, let's expedite your journey so that you don't have to make all of the same mistakes that we did, that we had to make in order to learn and get to where we are now. But that's why we're doing this, so that you can hopefully skip those steps. You are going to have to make sacrifices, but just know that sacrificing is short term. Having the vision, having the faith and like understanding that you're putting in the work for something that you love and deeply believe in now, so that you can literally enjoy your life not too much later down the line.
Right.
Like,
Don't wait till you're 60.
Literally, because the people will work a 9 to 5 their entire life for their Social Security, for their pension.
Yeah.
And by the time they get to that age, they're on medications. They can barely walk anymore because they've been sitting in a chair staring at blue light for the last 40, 50 years of their lives.
Yeah.
And now what do? You go on vacation a few times and you live off your Social Security. And like, that's not what we want. Like, we want to create freedom. We want to create autonomy. We want to create empowerment. And we want to like cultivate passion. Like, you should be able to, and you have a birthright to be able to make money doing what you're passionate about. And it's literally just about working hard.
Yeah.
It's just working hard.
And it's like going off of that, what you brought up earlier, like the body autonomy. Like, you want to be in a space where you, like, speaking of sacrifices, you don't want to have to sacrifice your morals and your ethics to have the paycheck, you know? And unfortunately, that seems like, over the past few years happened to be a privilege of a lot of people. But now that we know better, it's like, okay, how do we prepare for if something similar was going to happen again, to not be in a situation where if you have a current belief system, you're going to get fired from your job. Okay, well, what else can you do? Maybe that's time to leverage your side hustle, or you can navigate something differently. But I also want to say, like, no matter what you do, if you're ever put in a corner to make a decision that you're not okay with, there are so many ways to make money. There are infinite ways. That's what this entrepreneurship journey has showed me. Like, there are so many ways that even you and I aren't even making money in yet, where people just don't even know that they exist, and they are completely in alignment. Like, there's just an infinite amount of ways to build wealth. So I'll say, like, if you are passionate enough to really maybe struggle for a little bit, but figure it out, you don't have to be cornered. Because I know it's like the worst feeling of being at that fork in the road and being like, do I conform or do I do the scary thing and go my own way? But, staying in alignment with your heart, you're not going to pay for it in the end. You have to stay true to yourself. And if you don't, it's going to fester in your body, and then you're going to live a life that was not in tune with who you are. And what's worse than that? Like, we're here in this one time, we get this chance. Like, can you imagine like having to keep your mouth shut and not say something you believe in just for the money? Like, that to me is more unethical, Yeah. I think that's literally unethical to do, like to hide and not let yourself be who you are, and just for the money and the paycheck,
That was literally what drove me to starting my TikTok almost 4 years ago. I was working in the birth industry, and I wasn't allowed to say the words woman or breastfeeding.
Yeah.
No one knew my beliefs because I lived in Colorado. I was an outlier. I was an anomaly when it came to the general population in Colorado. And in order to protect my sanctity and my place in that community, I said nothing. Like, I had put a figurative, metaphorical piece of duct tape over my mouth, censored myself, and living out of alignment with my truth, what I knew to be true in every cell in my body. I was silencing every cell in my body, and it felt so out of alignment. Yet business was going fine. When my partner and I had started business, we started this all-in-one birth platform. Everyone in the community was totally behind us. And we literally asked ourselves, she was the only person that I could talk to in that industry that believed what I did. I actually red-pilled the heck out of her.
I'm sure you did.
But like, she was my safe space in that community. But we both had the same belief system. And we're operating in this environment where we knew if people knew what we believed, they would cancel us immediately. We would be dealing with public statements, refunds, getting sued, and being labeled whatever terrible name you could possibly think of, bigot, racist. And my business partner was a full-blown Mexican, tattoos, pierced, believed the same things as I did, but I couldn't say the things that she could. And then neither of us could talk about our beliefs because during that time period, that was when everyone was getting vaccinated and masking and social distancing. And in times like that, it is very scary to believe what you believe when you were the minority. But I got to a point, my business partner and I both were like, why is this going so well for us? Like, why does it seem like there's no friction, no resistance? Everyone's behind us, because it was a business that still to this day does not exist, connecting all all women to like birth professionals. Still nothing like it exists. So it was a need. It was a desperate need. So everyone was getting behind it, but we had to compromise ourselves. I was censoring myself. I was using words and avoiding using other words. And I just kept making these small compromises to a point of where I was like, what am I doing? Like, I told myself I would never do this. Yet here I am appeasing everyone around me just so that I can be liked and accepted. And that goes against everything in me. And so my business partner and I had actually gotten, it was in one of our last bi-weekly networking events. And this lady who was going to write us into a grant for the top maternal health care facility in Denver, she had made a comment to me about being racist because I had literally just talked about the rebozo, because there was, it's not important, but like to give you the gist, like I just brought up an issue purely from a point of like no bias. Like, I just brought up an issue in the birth community because I wanted people to talk about it. And I had this white lady tell me that I had biases, like racial biases, and that I should read these books, White Fragility and whatnot. And like, any of you that know either of us, like, you're probably laughing just hearing that. Yeah. And I got off that call and you know, because we were getting written into a grant to get funding so that this woman in her facility could run a program through our business. And I had to like sit there and go, does this feel good? Like, am I really gonna give someone who, if she really knew what I actually believed, someone that would chastise, ostracize, cancel, whatever it is, do we really wanna put ourselves in a precarious position to at any time have the rug ripped out from under us simply because we believe something different? Yeah. And we ghosted that fucking community. Like, we literally just walked the fuck away. My business partner and I both like came back together and we were like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, if you want to keep the business, like, you can have the whole thing. It's a brilliant idea. And we both said the same thing. We're like, I don't think I can continue. Yep. And so we ended up walking away. And it was literally one of the best decisions of my life to listen to my inner knowing, to listen to my inner truth, and to listen to my purpose and be like, I'm not here to silence myself. I'm complicit. Like, I can't be complicit and make money. I'm selling out if that's the case. Yeah. And that goes against everything in me. And so I started my TikTok speaking the truth. And here we are almost 4 years later, where I literally get to make money and live my life as God intended, simply by living in my purpose, simply by being authentic and refusing to silence myself. Yeah. And here we are. I've met some of my best friends because of not silencing myself. And I know the same goes for you. And then we get to create this beautiful ecosystem and this beautiful ability to make money in an infinite amount of ways. Like, there are no limitations when you're in your power. They're like, the options are limitless, genuinely. And
I have so much respect for you for like, that's like another kind of side of the pendulum where like you're in a position and you're making money, like you're doing well, but you can't expand. You're in a cage. You're like at this place where you can't like energetically like blast off because your
heart. You
can
never be yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how I knew you were in integrity, when you left like a comfortable position, a life and a job that would have been so comfortable for you that you worked hard and built, but you had to go back to ground zero and rebrand yourself and start over and get clear. And again, like the remolding process in entrepreneurship that comes when you are authentic, when you are controversial. If your beliefs are controversial, you know, it's imperative, because or else you literally you cannot speak and you become less authentic, and then people just don't resonate with you because they feel you. Like, people feel you so hard, and that's why our retreats sell out. And people want to come be around those that really have the grit and have the honesty. People just want honesty. So if you are honest and you build this thick skin, and from a loving space, you can talk about controversy and your beliefs and whatever you're selling and promoting. If it's coming from your being, people feel that. And it's just alignment. It's full on alignment, and people come. It's a magnet. And
it's a great way to weed the people out that aren't for you.
Exactly.
It's the ultimate filter for the clients and business that you want to attract as well. You have to release fear of judgment in order to live in your truth and be your most authentic self.
So I posted for our retreat the other day, and I talked about a story, how years ago I posted something and lost, I think, 7,000 followers in a week. And those are all, like, as an entrepreneur, potential clients, right? Or community members that I genuinely love. A lot of them were my friends. And at first I was like, oh my gosh, but it created this thicker aspect of my skin where I was like, you know what? Well, was I truthful and honest about how I felt? Do I still believe that full-heartedly? Am I passionate about it? Yes. So then I just went, and started talking about those things more and more. Ended up gaining over 100,000 people from posting content and ebooks and resources and courses from a place that was so aligned, and I was not holding back.
Because you energetically cleared the space as well. And I think in every component of your life as well, like being able to release things that are not for you needs to just be okay. You have to be able to go, this is in God's hands. If it leaves my life and my sphere of reality, that means it's not for me. And all it's doing is clearing the space for what is for you, right? Whether it's money or a following or a partner that you're with, like whatever it is, that can apply to every aspect of your life. And that's a gleaming example.
Totally. Yeah, that space, that brain space that you get back, the space in your life with less noise from all these other opinions and judgments. It's truly priceless when you can free up that energy back in your life and really reclaim that. And it's always better. I mean, Taylor and I will both tell you, it is better to have 500 followers and you speak really freely and authentically about your mission and service. Those convert to sales and aligned community members way more than a community of 80,000 people and you're covering your mouth. Like, sure, short term, maybe you'll get some, but people feel frequency. And now in almost 2025, essentially it's 2025, like, people want real. People want the honest truth. People are sick of being lied to. They're sick of like the, I need to
sold a fantasy.
Yeah, exactly. Or like, I need to like really sugarcoat what I'm saying because I can't offend anyone. And people just want raw and the truth and logic and reality. So I think bring us back to the reality. Let's go into the reality of what it takes with the grit, because Taylor and I spoke about this for literally 2 hours last night prepping for this, because we're like, when you are in your mission, you will find the grit, that flame. I keep like pointing to right here because it literally just like it's a flame that's in your like core. So can you talk about the grit and your experience of, when people say, you must be privileged, or you are a trust fund baby, or you handed it all to you. Like, when you talk about grit and what it takes, like, what has that looked like for you?
Yeah, I definitely feel like the importance of grit is a pillar in any entrepreneur's arsenal. And you are faced with so many circumstances just in life. Like, as an entrepreneur, you're not just going to be faced with obstacles in your business, you're also going to be faced with obstacles in your personal life as well. And you're going to have to overcome that and kind of like compartmentalize that in a sense. There's so many times that, like, we talked about the sacrifice and how you have to be so deeply connected to the inferno inside of you as to why you are doing what you're doing and being extremely self-led, self-motivated. No one else is going to do it for you. This is the thing. Like, you, like, entrepreneurs have this mentality of like, no one's coming to save me. I developed that at a very young age. No one's coming to save me. If I want a happy, beautiful, successful life, I'm the one that's got to build that. And I was faced with so many obstacles, and I did it all through bartending. I worked full-time bartending, working in nightlife. I didn't drink. I didn't do drugs. I wasn't taking pharmaceuticals. I wasn't going out with people after work. I was going on my drive home. I'm listening to financial podcasts. On my way home, I'm listening to health podcasts. I am constantly leveling up in the sense that I'm always learning. No matter what is thrown at you, like, the best thing that you can ever leverage yourself with and arm yourself with is knowledge. And like, I used to have this piece of paper, and this is what I would do too. I would set up my space so that when I came home, my area that I'd work and create content behind me is beautiful. The setting's beautiful. In front of me, what I look at, not what you look at, but what I look at is all of these different affirmations, my goals, and everything to just keep me locked in. Every time I look at it, I'm the type of person that's got to have sticky notes everywhere because I got to keep myself like dialed in. But like, I had this piece of paper, I wrote this, where learning is growth. Learning is growth. And I would constantly remind myself that, because even if you don't feel like you as a person or developing or whatever, as long as you're learning and you're consuming knowledge, and sometimes you're gonna have to take breaks with that as well, which I've gotten burnt out from that when I was bartending. I was like constantly listening to podcasts and just constantly consuming information because I wanted to become the most valuable version of myself. You have to enhance and add to your value. When you look at it like that, like, what can I offer people when I'm presented with an opportunity? Am I armed with the tools, the skills, the knowledge to be able to conquer and take advantage when God and life presents me people and opportunities that are going to catalyze my growth and success? That's genuinely what it is. And you have to like think about that. And you're going to be faced with things that make you question, like, can I do this? Like, genuinely, can I do this? And there's so much ego, death, and rebirth that happens through being an entrepreneur like that, looking in the mirror like, do I got this? Like, do I have the knowledge? Like, do I have the strength? Do I have the vision? Can I get there? Yes, you fucking can. Yes, you fucking can. Like, take it from someone like me, but like, literally my mom committed suicide just over a year ago and was like, I put so much time and energy into keeping her from drowning, basically. And I have been cheated on. I have lost jobs. I have lost friends. I've lost business opportunities. But you cannot take those experiences and go, it must not be for me. You can never sit there and absorb that into you and embody that energy, because like, entrepreneurs take every challenge. There are no problems. There are only challenges. And every challenge you're faced with is an opportunity to learn and sharpen your knife, to sharpen your sword, and to become more valuable and adept at solving problems. Like, that's genuinely what adversity and challenges do to you. It literally, it can either break you or it can make you. And that's how you have to view. And like, it's hard in the moment, don't get me wrong. Like, we're always faced with things, and like, you're not always gonna have the foresight, or you're not always gonna know why something is happening in the moment. And that's okay. You don't have to. But believe me when I tell you that when it is over and you're able to integrate what happened, oh my gosh, like, it's a wealth of knowledge and information to take from any mistake, to take from any failure. None of it is that. Like, it is all just an opportunity to be better, to get better, and to learn more, genuinely. And my ability to do that is what has led me here.
Oh my gosh, there's so much there. That was so great. You know, one thing I'll say is, a few, like 3 weeks ago, I was like, Taylor, I need you. And I was just going through it. And I was like literally at another rock bottom, just so many things happening in my life. And Taylor was like, Carly, this is like, this is just part of the story. Like, it's so intense right now, but it's another part of the story. And then when you're going through everything with your mom and we're hosting a retreat together and like I can be there for you during those hard times, it's like you need community in this lifestyle. Like, if there's so many times where we've been at rock bottom and we can just call each other and be like, hey, like this is going on, I need extra support. And you need like-minded friends and community to make this work, because when you are lone wolfing it as an entrepreneur, like that is where it's not sustainable. Like, it's not going to be supportive for your health long term. And so, which is awesome that when you were doing that doula stuff, you were creating networking events. Why? Because it's like a mastermind in that way. Of course, like it wasn't fully like-minded, so it wasn't the best. But
we tried.
Yeah, but like that's why Taylor and I host retreats together, because we gather people that are like-minded to come and really drop in and network and have that safety and whatever they're going through, knowing it's part of the grand story, so they can go out and have that trickle effect and help all these other people through entrepreneurship, or maybe they create a side hustle or they bring that into their current job, but really being in your own medicine and your life's purpose and your why is the essence of why we're here doing these events and showing people what's possible. Because if you don't, because when Taylor didn't have community and when I didn't have community, like, you said, we're listening to podcasts, we're trying to find community, we're seeking it out. We're not just sitting here like, poor me. Like, of course there's times for that. And we've totally both done that.
Yeah.
But then you have a friend, a loving friend, kind of snap you back into reality and be like, yeah, I hear you. I know it's hard. I love you. It's okay to be in this. And I'm here to assist you as you get out of it. I'm here to lift you up and reflect to you how amazing you are, what you have overcome, where you're going from here. And like, in those moments, it feels like the end of the world, but you just have that support system.
And it relights your fire,
Totally.
reignites your fire every time. Like, I would not be here if it were not for sisterhood and my fellow women, like, lifting me up. But I had to go through a really intense death, rebirth, transformation in order to be able to attract those people.
Right.
And so that was a lot of like self-reflection and self-development in isolation, which a lot of people do have to inadvertently go through. But just know that too, like if you are going through a period like that where you did lose all your friends, you did kind of change this paradigm and you're in a shift and you're in a shedding and creating that space, right? Just know that too is temporary, and that the more you step into your power and the more you step into your truth, the more able you are to attract your sisters, because your energy is so potent. And when you reflect, right, like they say that my perception of you is a reflection of me. And that is so true. Like being able to surround yourself with sisters where it's like, I see the power in you. Like I see how incredible your medicine is for this world. And like, I see you, I know you. And so when you are in that place where you do need like a little bit of uplifting, like you have your counsel to be there and be like, you fucking got this. Like, this is your mission. This is who you are. Like, in case you needed a reminder.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we do. Sometimes, like, we're communal creatures. I love that you touched on community and how important that is to build that. Because that, like, two minds is greater than one. And having other people behind you to lift you up can catalyze growth and success even more. But you have to like become the person to attract those. You have to be what you want. Like genuinely, you always have to be what you want.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's like when my fiance and I we were making a course and we had a module of relationships, and to attract a high value man, I had to become the high value woman. Same thing with this. You have to become the high value. That's where the confidence comes in and all the things. And also, this is a complete side note, but we met on social media. Like I was going through a shedding, you were going through a shedding. We were both left really gnarly, like narcissistic relationships. So we just clicked immediately because we understood each other at such a deep level, same ethics and mindset. And I messaged Taylor on Instagram, and then we met up we had a Zoom and chatted, and then we became friends in person, visited, now, hosting retreats together. But it's funny looking back, when we originally met, if we could see us now like hosting retreats, back then I probably would have like, oh, am I worthy of hosting a retreat? Like, you have these natural things that you need to overcome. So doing it with community is so much better, because you could be like, oh, wow, we got this. We're always to each other. Like, we freaking got this, and now we're just hosting all these things, and we each have courses and businesses, and it's cool to be on the evolution path with community. So I highly recommend. There are entrepreneurship communities all over social media. There are so many great groups and in-person events. So really seek that out if you are desiring to be catalyzed and really amplified, because we need like it's like my fiance calls it a professional like hype man. Like you all need a hype man. Like you can hype yourself up, of course, but to have the community underneath you, it's just completely revolutionary.
Because it makes you feel so seen and heard and understood and believed in, and like that's what we want. Yeah. Everyone wants that at their core. And I also want to touch on how, because I even experienced this myself, like this inner competition, like I always have to be better than this person or that person, constantly comparing. And that actually prevented me from building a community sooner. I actually had, and I know other people in the industry or like any online or any space in general, like our egos can really be our, worst nightmare, biggest enemy, whatever it is. And it wasn't until I just like released that, and I'm like, there's enough for us all to win.
Totally.
There's more than enough for us all to win. And actually, when we collaborate and allow in and want other people to win as well and provide value to them, you actually 10x your own success and value, because you're in a state of giving. And when you're in a state of giving as well, you really open up and are telling God, I'm ready to receive as well. But it's just releasing those limiting beliefs, like that scarcity, I'm not enough, there is not enough. There is. There so is.
There is.
And like there's exponentially more when you connect with other people that have the same mindset and mission and beliefs as you. If you could give any tip or tips about sovereignty for someone who is thinking about becoming an entrepreneur or is already an entrepreneur and looking for more ways to expand on that, like what would you tell them?
Yeah, I think the biggest lesson I've learned in entrepreneurship is having multiple streams of income and not settling for the dollar per hour model. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, when they start, they learn this the hard way, because you get really burnt out with a dollar per hour model. There's simply not enough time in a day. Even if you're charging $500 to $1,000 an hour. Like there's still only a max you can hit every single day. So why not drop into an avenue where there is no ceiling? Why not say, okay, I'm not going to do the dollar per hour model. I'm not going to kind of confine myself to that, but I'm going to expand to the possibilities of leverage. And I mean, leverage is a whole conversation in itself. It's magical, because when you are sleeping and you can make money while you sleep, that's the ultimate freedom. And we both are in that space where we make money where we sleep. And there are thousands of ways to do this.
Infinite.
Like, literally infinite ways to do this. And that's part of the path of unlocking all these different levels to entrepreneurship and learning as you go. But really, like having multiple streams. So if one thing happens to one of them, okay, you have something to go back on and not put all of your eggs in one basket. So when we talk about leverage, social media is a great way to do that. An email list, great way to do that. Landing pages, courses, ebooks, events, advertising, ads. Like if you have a product, what'd you say?
I said meetups are a great way.
Oh my gosh, meetups. Like there are affiliate marketing, network affiliate marketing, Bitcoin, retail, real estate, stocks. Like and there's so many things that Taylor and I are passionate about that we can't share on camera. It's like you really have to be with us in person in like a really safe circle where we share this information, but we get into that and those ways of income. I mean, literally infinite. So I would say if you are an entrepreneur right now or you're wanting to be an entrepreneur, look into multiple streams of income and leveraged income and weave those into your business, because even if you do have a dollar per hour business, let's say massage therapist, or you're taking clients one-on-one, there are many ways you can put leverage in there. So many. So really, I think it's a mark that a lot of entrepreneurs miss and still don't realize is possible for them.
I think it's important to also remember there's a statistic that says the average millionaire has 7 streams of income. So I always kind of keep that in the forefront of my mind as I add on more and more streams of income. It really does offer up freedom, because if one's not doing that great, you have others that are doing great. But also I love, again, another statistic that one in 11 people in the United States is a millionaire.
1 in 11.
1 in 11.
That's amazing.
That's insane. That's actually
wow.
So I just want to leave you with that.
Totally.
Because it's so much more attainable than we think.
Yeah.
It is.
I would assume it was way less.
I thought so too, but you can literally Google it. Like, how many people are millionaires, or like what is the percentage? And it's like, I think, 9% of people or something like that in the United States are millionaires.
Totally.
Yeah.
And they probably all had crazy childhoods, crazy adversity. Very few of them are probably from generational wealth.
It's a very high percentage of millionaires in the United States that do not come from money. Yeah. I can't remember what the actual statistic is, but it is a high percentage.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this path of sovereignty, like, we're basically just on the path of sovereignty. Like, that's what this is. Sovereignty at its core, reworking the money paradigm in your head, the confidence paradigm in your head. Like, it's all on this path of being free, mentally, physically, emotionally, and it's so possible.
Yeah. Your perception is your reality, genuinely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, do you have any final thoughts?
I would just say, like, if you want to learn more from us about things that we cannot necessarily talk about on camera, come and seek mentorship and sisterhood from us in person at one of our upcoming retreats. And if you would like to learn more about one of our upcoming retreats, there are details in the show notes.
Amazing. I hope you all love this. We had so much fun. We've been wanting to do this for so long. And we're so happy to support everyone on this path. Like, we're excited to see you all grow and expand and really be able to live out a life that's on your terms and in alignment with your soul. So thanks for being here.
Thank you. Bye.